Oh
Somebody
boy.
said bring gloves.
Oh yeah, that's right. Good morning, everybody.
Bring out the gloves.
Welcome to Morning Coffee Review. It is March 7th. It is a dreary, yet another snow-filled day up here in Minnesota. How's it going for you over there in Arizona, Michael?
Doing good. We're going to heat up. So I did a bunch of yard work this past weekend, but however, it's going to cool down again. So I don't know what this weather is doing, but it's great out here in the Grand Canyon State. We are happy. And today is going to be a great fun-filled session within session about statuses. See what I did there? Today, we're going to be talking about statuses and the ability to use them. And maybe we'll talk about them outside before we talk about them inside of studio sessions. And what are the best workflows to apply statuses within sessions? I only have one gripe, and this is pretty well known, as we all have heard. I think statuses are an amazing tool outside of sessions. I just don't think that their importing capabilities within sessions are as efficient as they could be, because there's no way to export or import statuses. But Liz has come up with a genius way of creating kind of a drop page, and I won't steal the luster away from all of that as we kind of go through and learn it. But just being aware that there are some nuances with studio sessions and its capabilities. And Cloud does let you have statuses, but it's only one status set state. So if we ever ventured into Bluebeam Cloud, which is their new mobile platform, they do allow you to use statuses for your tool sets that you use from your tool chests, but it's only one. You can't change it. And it's just like approved, rejected, and I forget the other one. There's like a couple more, but let's hop into review and just talk about statuses first. And then we'll turn it over to Liz and let her talk about what we can do within Studio, because that's where my one gripe is. And if I talk about it, I'm just going to downplay it, and it shouldn't be downplayed. So
whoa. I think you're downplaying this whole thing, Michael, because I got my popcorn ready. Liz has got her boxing gloves on. Last time we talked about this, it got a little heated. So
I think it was an understanding of that. I didn't say, I guess it was maybe perceived as I said you shouldn't use them. It was more of it's frustrating because there's no import or export of your statuses is my issue. But
nice backpedal there.
It is all on video and we can go back and check.
Yes, we can.
There you go.
I think I did restate myself, but let's talk about statuses overall and how we can go through and use them within review and what are they, right? But basically the old workflow, if we all remember it, would be a printed out PDF set. Someone would then go through and redline something, hand it over to the design team, and they would then review them, update the design set, and then highlight that they've completed it, right? That's the traditional workflow of going through and doing revisions. And this is just one part of statuses because you can use it for a multitude of things. I'm just using it for the color changing aspect and its capabilities with that. But as you go through, you're able to use the same mentality that people were doing with pen and paper, right? So they would come in here, they would revision cloud something, and then some people still use this mentality of highlighting it, right? So they'll get a revision cloud, then they'll come through and highlight things. But that can now go away using statuses. Statuses are down here in the lower markups list area. Now, statuses have been used for other things as well. When we were talking to some folks out at XCon, there was an oil and gas company that were using it for their shutoff valves. So they knew when they were open and when they were closed, and at what time they were opened and closed as well. But down here in your markups list, it's the 3 lines. When you click the panel, it opens up. And from here, you have this column called status. Now, if you do not see the column called status in your markups list, you can always hit the drop down from your markups list, go to columns, and then from here, you can go through and activate those status column if it's not being shown. So right here. And if it's not being shown in here, that's because someone went into here under your manage columns and turned that status state off. So you don't see it in here as well, right? So it's not even selectable from here. It was over here and it was dechecked as status for it being an option. going to go back into here, though, talking about statuses and what we can use them for. There are some built-in ones already out of the box. So if you just double click here, you have some options. But what we're going to be talking about is it's like a music bar. The ability to create custom ones. I'll just show you that old thought process of being able to mark things as completed. So if I'm going through and reviewing this from a design standpoint, I can see this Bluebeam Camp one and I can just hit complete and it will actually change the color. So this is saved to my profile. And that is awesome because if I changed a profile or sent my profile out, the custom statuses would be with it as well. However, and this is my gripe, it still won't work within a studio session unless the metadata is saved to the PDF first. So it just adds an extra step. And that's my gripe, is that there's no import feature for statuses and creating custom statuses. The import, I guess, quote unquote, what they would say would be the import is saving it to that metadata of the PDF, right? So that means something has to be changed, and I'll let Liz talk about her process. Yes. But basically, right, something has to be a status state changed on the PDF for new metadata to be saved to the PDF. So you can't just open the PDF and then save as. You have to go through and mark a change of a status on the PDF for the metadata to be.
Oh, she's shaking her head.
No?
Not if it's part of your profile.
Okay.
It
So if
automatically gets attached to it. The metadata automatically gets attached to the document as long as you have those statuses active in your profile when you're uploading to session.
Okay. So if I just open this, save as to my desktop, let's see. Save. And then I close it. I change my profile.
Oh, if you change your profile, it's whatever's active. Actually, I don't know how it works if you're switching between if the document already has statuses attached to it and then you change to a different profile and then there's a mismatch between the statuses in the document and the statuses in your profile.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. You needed to at least have it on there. So then it saves as it. Where's my desktop? There it is. So if I open this and then I make a markup, where are my markups? There it is. Yeah, so you have to have it saved to the metadata. So if I reran this where I didn't change this, but I go back into here, profile, this would be the workflow if you're trying to share statuses to other team members. If you're sending a PDF, they don't have your profile, you just want them to be able to make the same status state changes, then you need to have at least made it once on that PDF set. So there was no status state change here yet. If I go into here with my new custom status state changes for my Bluebeam camp, go to statuses, boom. Now there's metadata saved to it. Save it again back to my desktop, reclose it, change the profile, come back into here. Oops. Go back into, I don't know, we'll just go to, I know the structural steel one doesn't have it. So if I go back into here, reopen that PDF, file open. Now, if I come back into here and make another one, right? I guess you could have deleted it. So I'll delete it because maybe this is like where you would have a drop page, right? You slip that in each time in a new set so that you can have this custom one. But okay, so deleted it. I'll just save it again. Then I would send it to somebody and would have that new status state, even if they didn't have the profile. But you would probably send the profile anyways. But now I have that new status state, right? So that's how you would be able to share hypothetically. Again, that's why I think it's just a little bit more of a process with them. They're great. Don't get me wrong. Everyone should use them if the profile is set up with it, because you would then be able to see the same status states. However, if you open up a PDF and don't change a status state and expect someone else to follow that same status states that you have in your profile, and it wasn't changed on the PDF, they're not going to have the same status states. So that's kind of the clarity I want to make for folks, is that the metadata is saved to the PDF, unless you have the profile, and then it gives you a whole another ball game when you're in studio sessions. And I'll let Liz talk about that process as well. Before we go, does anyone have any questions? Did I miss anything in the chat?
Yeah, I wanted to answer Alex's question, which she said in session, you see no statuses if there's a mismatch, which is not, that's not the case. What happens is, as he was just showing, when you make a markup and you have statuses, whatever your current active statuses are in your profile, that metadata will get attached to the PDF. So those statuses become a property of the PDF. And then when you upload it to session, those statuses come along for the ride. So if you upload a PDF to session and there's no statuses as part of the metadata, it's just like bookmarks or layers or anything else that's part of the PDF. You can't change it once it's in session. It has to be done beforehand. But if you have statuses as part of your profile, you don't have to do anything to the PDF. Just make sure the statuses that you want to use in session are the active statuses. When you click the little that equalizer button and go in there and see all your statuses, as long as the ones you want are active, as soon as you upload to session, it automatically attaches those statuses to that PDF. You don't actually have to do anything. So that's where I work. I have given everybody the statuses, and I do have a common company profile. I wish everyone used it. It would make things easier, but people can use it if they wish. I save it on a network drive and it's read-only. And it has those statuses. And anybody who chose not to use the company profile, I gave them a PDF with those statuses attached to the PDF. And then you open that PDF and then you go into the little equalizer button, status. Yep. And then go to manage statuses. And those statuses would show up under the models on the left. And you can click on them and click add to profile in this window right here, or save to profile, bottom right. And it would take those statuses and save them to your profile. So anyone who chose not to use the company profile, I had them go through that process of opening the PDF I sent them, going into this window right here, click save to profile. And now they have those statuses and they have to do literally nothing. When they upload a PDF to session, those statuses automatically come along for the ride.
Someone had a little bit of statement. I can hear you because we have sheer headphones, but it is a little bit more quiet. So I don't know if you have a noise suppression from your graphics thingy. But yeah, to talk about that process, let me go through and show some custom statuses, because we're great. I showed you all this and everyone's like, hey, this is MCR. We're supposed to be, being able to learn the process. So how can we go through and create our own custom statuses, right? I showed you the kind of the recipe of what you can get to. Down here in the markups list, you have the status area. And from the draw bar is where you go through and manage your custom statuses. So I was just showing the nuances with custom statuses if they're not saved to profiles, and why I personally, and this is a personal opinion, you can take it how you want. And we're allowed to say what we want. Here's a free space. I do not like that they cannot be exported, that they have to be saved to the profile or the metadata. That's my gripe. And that's why I think there should be a better process for these, because they are extremely powerful. That's just what I feel. My opinion is very strong with them not being able to be exported. So back into here though, you can go into your manage statuses. You can add a new custom state, or I guess it would be like the models of the state. So what's the title going to be for someone to go through and add some? So you can go into here and then we'll just do MCR. And from there, it's going to create a new model and for me to add states. So you can go through and add custom states. So, the typical one completed, we'll do an on off. So it will be on, and then you can actually have this state change text. So if you wanted the states not to just change the color, you can actually have them change comment text. So just being aware that is an option. I think some folks probably would steer away from that, but it's good to know. then there's the color states. So from here, you can go through and change your color state of what will be your selection for on. Maybe we'll do green to go and then red to not go. And then we'll just go off. I guess I should keep all caps. If Matt's in here, he's probably looking at me and he's like,
I was going to say something too.
Okay. Once you've created that default state here, again, these are going to be your defaults. And what's the default option for this one? So we'll probably do MCR and we'll do, I probably wouldn't keep defaults if you're going to be switching, but we'll just do default on. Then you saved a profile. If you're creating this one and you don't save a profile, guess what, folks? It only saves the PDF. I know, more confusing. So we'll just go through here and save to my profile, hit OK. And then you can go through and place these if you want. So I forget, I don't think it modifies, I forget. So I'm not going to say anything until I place something. I forget which one it is that it, if it's a snapshot, if it doesn't change colors or it does. Oh, it auto-populated to on as my default off. Yeah, so snapshots aren't a go. What isn't a snapshot in here from the out of the box? Probably have a custom one here as I'm scrolling 10 times the speed. Okay, let's see. Off. On.
There you go. So it changes from green to red.
Whoa, so it doesn't auto-populate when it's, oh, it just auto-populates the state. That's kind of weird. Did I do that auto-population? I did, right? It's early.
Yeah, you put the default there.
Yeah. So maybe when you're placing one, it gets defaulted on, but it doesn't set like what day and time it was set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not recommend setting a default for that exact reason. Right? Because statuses are intended to be intentional. So without that timestamp and that, name stamp, that sort of removes some of the value of the status, in my opinion.
I agree. I've had the people using the common network profile ask if we could set the default status to be ready for pickup. And I tell them that exact thing. I want it to be intentional. I want you to know that that's what you're setting it as.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that like some of our tools are like intentional and people get upset about it. They're like, why can't we just automate it? Well, some things are meant to be intentional so that you're deciding it versus it being an automated function. Yes, I think automation is amazing and it should be used. But things at, in some deviation need to be intentional in what you're doing. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. Before we move on, we got a couple questions that let's go back and take care of this. So is there a hotkey for changing status?
If you can figure it out, that would be amazing, because logistically, I don't know of any way that Bluebeam could implement that.
No.
Similar to the tool chests, they only gave us the My Tools that has shortcuts. Nothing else has shortcuts because logistically, how could you do that? You can have an infinite number of tool chests associated with different profiles, and an infinite number of tools in those tool chests. It's the same with statuses. You can have multiple different status setups with an infinite number of statuses within those. And if you can figure that out, that's the most number one requested thing that I hear. So if logistically you can figure out how to implement that, please tell Bluebeam, because everybody would love it.
What was that one sheet that you brought up that had the ability to create plugins? Like,
I'm gonna have to unplug my camera. Is my camera freaking out?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Let me unplug it. Hold on.
What was that website that you brought up? I forget. Did I save it?
What was it for?
To create the like plugins, like your own macros within Revu.
I don't remember this one.
Oh, scripts.
Yeah, it was. Oh, is it just? It's in review though, right? Is that how you? wrote it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just called scripts.
Is it part of it in here, or you just go? You just type in scripts to the Google search.
Yeah, just Bluebeam scripts. And yeah, you can go into the, yep. Nope, not that one. Want
This one?
script, the script reference right there at the top.
Top one here.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is like creating those little macros.
Yeah.
No
They don't have
status.
one.
No.
Okay. Deviate back. But you can, however, right click instead of having to go into here and apply your status. So there's something.
That's my normal.
Yeah. Versus being in the markups list. And you can't, if I remember correctly, you can't do like a shift.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
What?
I think you can.
Yeah, you
Thought we
can.
tested that before.
You can highlight as many as you want at one time and change their status simultaneously.
Oh, but you'd have to do the right click. Okay. Yeah. Don't double click like me because I'm like, you guys are wrong. It's a right click and set statuses. You can even do a wide reply. Look at that. I know this for the legends because I do legends this way too. If you're not using legends from your tool set, but then you can go and just say off. Boom.
All right. Another question. Is there a way to keep the comment but add text via statuses? So such as done or complete?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And Vince wanted to know what information is exported if you create a CSV. Is it all of the info in the status column? Which I believe it does.
I'm not sure. I don't use that feature, but maybe.
Yeah, I don't go to CSV. I only go to PDF, and I know it shows up there. And Brian likes the does not equal filter with the status.
Yes.
This is so it hides what's been completed and what still needs to be addressed. Yep. 100%. That is the goal of this thing. And in my opinion, when we're talking about a redline workflow, make it easy.
I'm just testing this to make sure that even if you do these right, it will only change the nope. Even if you did this right, it's still going to change the text of this versus the text in the comment. So let's go over to here, and this will probably change the comment for this one. Yeah. But for something like this, it just adds a comment to it for you. Okay. So that's the comment one to kind of iron out that text question that some folks were having. Well, what else was there?
All right. There's a couple really good questions. One of them, well, they both sort of have to do with reports and going back to
oh, there's a report. What comes out? Is that what?
Yeah, but the does not equal feature. So Brian was talking about when you're doing that export, having it just export what needs to be done, right? So in this case, you've got statuses set to on and off. Which ones, give me a report of what is off.
Yeah, so you could just come into here and go and decide what you want to sort and filter by. And you can say like what you don't want to see. So sort by, I don't know, status, right? And then all you want to see is off.
Yep.
And
so there you go.
I'll hit OK.
And there's your summary of things that are off. So
Don't
that's
take
sort of
that
like
one
that.
on.
Oh, that's weird. It's kind of that does not equal, but done a little differently.
Maybe because it's from the most recent status state it picks up. That's why I didn't see any ons in my filter list. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Arlie's like, I was multitasking, but I hear you.
Yeah, there's another really good question, but it involves getting to session. So I didn't want to like
Okay.
push you
Yeah.
guys into that
I'm
world
not-
yet.
Yeah, I'm not in sessions yet. That's going to be Liz's demonstration. I just had to bring out my boxing gloves and talk about my gripe of not liking the fact that you can't export them. Because they're great. Don't get me wrong. And I think that was where we were getting me wrong, was that I was like, never use statuses. I think they're a great tool. They just have some nuances that I think everyone should understand.
It's made more complicated when you're switching between profiles and other sessions and stuff like that.
Like if you've created them, you're probably having a great time, but like then you're saying, well, everyone in our firm is going to be using these for custom, things. Then you need to know what and how they transfer, right? Like you were saying, Liz, if everyone just used my profile at the company, we'd be good.
Well, that's how I did it at my previous 2 companies. And I mean, it's still fine now. Everybody, and I can't get my camera to work. It's
no worries.
Yeah. Anyway, it's still fine now, kind of the way we do it. It's just if I need to update anything about the statuses, anybody not using my network profile will have to re-import them into their profile. But we're not doing a lot of switching between profiles. We're not doing any switching between custom status stats, things like that. So everyone's using the same statuses. It's part of their profile. And because it's part of their profile, it automatically gets uploaded when they go into session. And it works flawlessly for us because we're not doing a ton of switching back and forth with stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, with that, I will pass it on if we don't have any more questions, and I don't see any more, except just some commentary. So we will pass this forward and let you talk about sessions. So I will look for my Zoom controls somewhere, because I don't think you just take over. Oh, you can. Okay. Teams, you can. I'm called the takeover king because I like to just screens.
Let me rearrange my chat window and stuff like that so I can see what people are saying. Okay, so this is one of our documents out of session. I saved it kind of midway through, so I have a mix of statuses. And then what I did at XCon is I brought this architectural drawing along with me. This is a real project, and I am not trying to call anybody out. So you can see I've taken any information about the project out of here. This particular session was organized by the architect, and they had never really run a session before with like 6 or 7 different sub-consultants in there, and it was chaos. So I used these 2 documents to kind of show not only statuses, but also just sessions best practices. So you can see we have all these untitled viewports that would be in here. Those should get removed before you upload something to session. You should flatten all of the, flatten all of the AutoCAD text, which I thought this one had some. But when you print something from AutoCAD and you get those AutoCAD, you should flatten those text outputs from AutoCAD, add bookmarks that make sense, add page labels, and I'll show you why page labels help. You can also see that this document is 289 pages. This is all disciplines in one document with no page labels and bookmarks that don't make sense. And no statuses. So it was really, really difficult. You can see there's some bookmarks, but really, really difficult to navigate. Let's see if I go to one of my structural drawings. So my gripe with the highlighting method is if you've got, a ton of stuff on one sheet, you've highlighted something to say that you're done with it. If I need to come back in later and say, fix this or whatever, and it happens to be near the highlight, somebody's going to think it's done because the highlight's over it. You also have to manually flip through 289 pages to figure out what's done. So if there was bookmark or if there was page labels, I would be able to sort by page label. And you can come into like this custom filter, and I could say begins with S and the capitals matter. And then I could click apply if this had page labels, and then I would only be seeing my structural drawings, which would be nice. But as it is, you have to like manually flip through every single one of 289 pages to figure out what's done. And this created
So
kind of a
much
nightmare. Yeah. This created kind of a nightmare for the architect, because this document, you can see it's dated September 30th, 2021. We were still using this document in session the following April, because there was no way to export what was done and what was not. If they had custom statuses, they could have sorted by, and I'll go over that that filter item that we were talking about. So here, if I'm looking for things that aren't done, I can come into filter, I can come into custom, does not equal complete. And then I can click apply. And now I'm only left with the things that aren't done. And this list is much easier to export and re-import into a new updated PDF so that you're not using the same PDF for like 8 months. Exporting and importing those comments takes like 2 seconds with this status method. Maybe not 2 seconds, but literally less than 30 seconds. I could filter, export, and import into a new PDF and upload that PDF to session, and I'm done. Bitterness in me.
No.
Oh, okay. I was good. It was chaos for this particular.
I saw someone blamed it on civil, and I was waiting for Jason's reaction.
No. So because if we had these statuses in this document, so like every time you use the highlighting method, it just creates another markup. You're not adding more information. You're creating like more, you're clogging up the system if you're using highlights. Because there's no way to know what highlight this is completing unless I click on it and go to it. And I mean, look at how many markups we have. Like it was impossible to navigate. It was really, really difficult. But over here in this drawing, these are my statuses. And I can, when I'm marking stuff up, I'll come in and I'll filter by blank and my own name. I've minimized names over here because, again, I'm not trying to call anyone out. But I would filter by my own name and my own markups and go through and make sure that I've set statuses for all of my stuff so that I don't have any blank statuses. And then when I go into back check mode, I can come in here and select ready for pickup. Ready for back check. And now I have a to-do list of back check. I've got a new PDF. I can put this on one screen, my new PDF on another screen. And when I go through here, I can set my status as complete. And that item, that was hard to tell, but that item disappears from my list. Let's see if this stays minimized. Nope. But that item, there was 2 items in this page, and now it disappears from the list. And it's a really great, quick way to back check because I know what's for me when I'm in back check mode. I just filter by status. And same, my drafter, I don't do drafting. My drafter, he will come in and he will look at ready for pickup and BIM review. And these are his items. When he's got the model open on one screen, he's got this open on the other. And he can come in here and go page by page and set status complete, and it disappears from the list. and you just go line by line, and you know what's done, you know what's not. If you make sure you have your settings permissions set up properly, so that it's not restricted by email address. It allows your coworkers to invite people, even if they're not the creator of the session. Unless you're doing something super top secret, but other than that, I've never had a problem with, let's see, go into settings, permissions. I wish they would separate out full control into a more granular settings, because full control includes removing documents. Sometimes somebody uploads a document and they're like, crap, that's, I missed a page, or crap, I forgot to, add page labels, or whatever it is. And they just want to delete it real quick, fix it, and then re-upload it. And they can't unless they have full control. But full control also allows them to close, like finish the session, like end the session. So I wish this full control was a little more granular. But it's not. I just tell my people, like, you have to actually click. It's very intentional. You have to finish the session. So I just tell my people not to do that. So these are how our statuses work. Every time I go to XCon, I look at other people's statuses. I always go to stuff about session because I'm interested in what other people are doing. So this is what Mead and Hunt did at XCon 2021. They use custom tool sets, and because when you change a status, all colors change except text background colors and hatch patterns. Those are the only two things that don't change. Everything else changes color. And I think I have an example of that here. So you can see that the text background color does not change, and the hatch pattern itself does not change. Wrong one. So Mead and Hunt used that to their advantage. So the text color means one thing because that will not change with statuses, and this the status color means another thing. And they also use that with these custom tools to get that text color, so that people didn't have to apply the text color manually. And then WSP did this one. And this is a PowerPoint, so if I'd actually used the slide, it would have done timing properly. But they used brackets in the beginning of their status for the person. So like the PM would always use statuses that start with back checker, and the drafter would always use statuses with corrector. And the yellow's not showing up very well, but
yeah, I don't like that yellow at all.
Yeah, I don't either. Let's do that. And then when the PM is verifying everything for the final, they would use verifier. So, and then, yeah, they had a whole matrix of what they were doing. My personal favorite so far has been ACOMS. I saw them at XCon this past year. I went to their presentation at 11 a.m. My presentation on statuses and sessions was at 1 p.m. And so theirs ended at noon. And I went up to them and I was like, can you send me the slide right here? Because this was in their presentation. I think it's my favorite. They use the subject. So if I come over here and I click on this, they use the subject line as like metadata along with statuses. So the status is the status. Is it open? Is it completed? Is it whatever? But then the subject was whoever the comment was directed to. And what that allowed them to do is sort their markups list by subject and see how many statuses, like what the status was, or filter by subject. So I could filter by civil and then sort by status, and that would give me an idea immediately of how far along is civil. Have they picked everything up? How much is still left to be done? And they, because they were managing this huge project for the Texas school district. And this allowed them to manage multiple schools at the same school projects at the same time. And they could filter by subject to get the discipline, sort by status, and then output a CSV file and send that CSV file to the consultant. They would send an email to, structural and be like, structural, you have 300 open comments in session. Like, you guys need to get in there and take care of these. And having that data really gave them more leverage to hold feet to the fire, because they could see that information immediately as the managers of this huge project with multiple consultants, multiple projects going on at the same time under the same umbrella. And I really liked how they did that. And the way that they did that was a custom profile that they sent out to everybody. And basically you just switch to that profile. I'm sorry. Oof. Custom tool sets. They sent custom tool sets, and basically you were not allowed to use any of these markups. You had to use the tools that they gave you, which I don't have mine because they disconnected. You had to use the tools that they gave you, and that the custom tool sets had the subjects already updated in them.
It kind of follows the same subjects that just come from out of the box as well, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
You have the con, you have the
very
arc.
similar.
Yeah.
Yep. But then, then they could come in. So, filter by subject. So it would be discipline. And then.
And by the way,
Yep.
Let me add a little note to this. If you don't see that filter list button that does it for all of them, and someone's going to correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe you even know this too. I think it was 2019, or was it? Yeah, 2019 is when that filter list button came out.
What was the big interface update? Was that 2018 to 2019?
Yeah, but it still had the small filters in 2018.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. It was like
I think it was 2019.
Yeah, it was like 2019. There's like a point addition. That filter list changed. So if you're not seeing that and what Liz is showing, you used to have it just on those columns. There used to just be a little funnel next to it, and you can only sort and filter by that single one, which wasn't fun.
So we do use the colors. And it kind of looks almost as chaotic as, I froze. It kind of looks almost as chaotic as the architectural drawings, but all the colors mean something. For us, Bluebeam, why do you fail me?
It's because there's 300 pages.
Yes. And like, who knows how many markups.
So maybe a set would be a good way to break those up, perhaps.
I think sets don't work in session, but I do think they should have split them by discipline, which they eventually did end up doing.
Yeah, if you just have this large of a set, I mean, at some point you have to understand that any software is just going to have complications. So either you do a set, but if you're in sessions, you might as well just break out a combined set in one, because you can always combine them back at the end, right? So
so like at a glance, I know all the red is not picked up yet, so none of that has been picked up by my drafter and put in the model. Purple is questions to me as the engineer. The drafter can use these to ask me questions, or I mark them as my own questions to myself. Like maybe I'm in DDs and something isn't important right now, but I know it's something I'm going to want to keep an eye on going into CDs. So I might set myself a markup and mark it as PE review so that I remember to come back to it later. I don't know if I like this external coordination required because that's a status that I need to coordinate with somebody that's not in my firm. And so this what you're seeing is just our internal statuses. So nobody is generally seeing this except for me and my direct team. So I'll set this external coordination required, like, hey, I need to, move a column and I notice that it's going to bring it out of the wall and into the room and I should let the architect know. And so rather than keeping a separate list somewhere, I'll do external coordination required. Then the next time I'm sending an email or the next time that we're on a phone call, I can come in here and sort by that status or filter by that status. It's particularly handy when we're in a conference call. I can filter by external coordination required. And I have all of my questions for them on the top of my head. I don't have to go look for it somewhere. It's all in session. And it's really handy to have all of that. We were talking about like in previous, like single source of truth. That's why we do everything in session. We don't save markups on the network drive somewhere or email them to each other because that's how they get lost. So if you have a really good organizational system for session, everything is in session. And like I was saying, if you had your permissions set up so that people could join, we've had instances where, somebody had a family emergency or somebody was sick. And the beauty of statuses in session is that anybody else can jump in and you don't have to wonder where to pick up. If I'm the engineer and I'm helping an engineer who's out sick, I jump into session, I sort by ready for back check, or I sort by PE review, and I just go. Or if my drafter is out sick and somebody has to take their place, they can jump in, sort by ready for pickup, and they immediately know where to start because of the statuses. And then, like I was mentioning with that architectural drawing being used for months, if we have those statuses and, it's time to print an updated drawing, it's been a little bit, we're at a good place to print a new drawing and put it in session. It's really easy to filter out those completed markups and save them, save the uncompleted markups and bring them into a new PDF.
And I will say, with that workflow, also with the sessions, because we do have about 9 minutes left. We can show the ability to add some of these into a session for other people to use as well.
What do you mean?
Like pivoting. So how can we have everyone have the same custom statuses in a session would be the question.
As long as it gets uploaded, as long as the person doing the uploading has statuses, it will happen automatically. And so
in the sessions, in studio session.
Yeah.
Okay. So in order for you to upload, so if I'm adding a PDF into sessions, it will happen automatically, even if the other person doesn't have the profile.
Correct.
We'll see the same status.
Correct.
Okay.
It's like bookmarks or page labels. It's metadata that's added to the PDF when you upload it and everybody sees the same one.
Yeah. So they would have had to open up the PDF and then save it and then add it into the session, correct? Is the workflow?
For my team, because the statuses are part of our profile, they just add the PDF to session.
Yeah. So if you're trying to coordinate with someone externally, though, the metadata needs to be saved to the PDF before the PDF is uploaded to the session. If you're having another team that's not an internal team, try to use the same statuses, right?
One more time.
So let's say I'm working with Jason Hartley,
Mm-hmm.
not at my firm, doesn't have my profile. He needs to use my statuses. In order for him to get access to my statuses in the session, I would need to make a custom status change on the PDF before uploading it to Studio Sessions so that he has my same custom statuses.
Yes. Now let's back up.
Not to my knowledge.
I think you
do.
Okay.
It has to be part of the PDF. And one thing that I think gets neglected here is, and it's the same sort of limitation that we have with studio, right? When you're in a studio session, there are certain tools you can't use. There are certain things you can't do. And the status is part of that, right? Because it assumes that not everybody's going to be in there at the same time. So if I go in there and do my markup and change my status to finished, not the markup status, but my actual attendee status, and then you come in and add all these other statuses after I'm done, that's really not fair, right? So you have to make sure that everything is set up appropriately with the right sheets and markups and capabilities, so you have an equitable experience for everybody who's going to be attending.
So yeah, so I worked with an architect, and they got on a call with me, and I showed them how statuses work, and they set up their own statuses in their own profile. I'm structural, they're architectural, completely different firms, completely different profiles. They set the status as active that they wanted, uploaded that PDF to their session that they created, and when I went into that PDF, the statuses that they had were there for me.
Yep, because they opened the PDF, changed status states, and then saved it and then uploaded it to the session.
No, they just uploaded it.
So we can try this because I just want to play devil's advocate.
Okay.
So Mr. Artley, I am going to invite you. Do you have review open?
Yeah.
I'm going to invite you into, you have our demo session, don't you? So if you go to studio sessions, you have the one that says demo sessions.
Yes.
I'm going to
Do you want to share?
Yeah, I'm going to upload a PDF set. And then hopefully this is just a random PDF set that doesn't have any statuses, right? So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go to my demo docs here. We'll completed sets. Here we go. So this one has nothing. It hasn't been changed for what? This is 3 years. Gosh. I'll open this up and add this into here. And this has no custom status states, right? However, I uploaded it and I want you to be able to have the same custom status states, or I'm going through and, making markups and have these cool custom status states, So I'm going to mark this up, and then I'm going to go into here and I'm going to go and say, boom, completed. Jason Artley, since
Okay.
can you do the same thing on this markup now?
Demo session.
I'm all the way in the bottom. It's at the bottom. I guess you can sort, right?
Yeah, I think you can sort by date.
Yeah, by date.
All right. So if you are sharing your
Still
screen
at the bottom.
Or he could follow
scrolling.
you, and it'll take him to the page.
Oh,
that-
yeah. Follow me.
follow. Okay. Following.
There we go. So you should be, yeah, there you go.
Can
So
you change that status state to,
For this one.
yes.
More info. Yeah, look at that. Interesting.
Was that the MCR one?
Yeah.
So there you are.
Wait, no, I changed it to, I changed it from complete to more info on the BB Camp one.
BB Camp, that was already part of it. But for this one, on and off.
Okay. I need 12 more screens for like 10 minutes a day. All right. Set status MCR off.
So
That's interesting because normally you can't mess with other people's markups.
So as long as you have
the statuses aren't considered messing with the markups. Like you can't change anything about the markup other than the status. It's just metadata. So you're not actually changing the markup.
So you have to have the status changed before, essentially. So I need to make sure that I change one status state.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Alex, the statuses that you want have to be active in the profile. And when you upload it, they will automatically come along for the ride like he just showed and be available to everyone, whether they have that profile or whether they have those statuses or not. They become a property of the PDF.
When that's dangerous though, because I can go in there and say everything's been done. even
But
though
then
it has
it'll
a filter.
say, that's the point. That's not dangerous. That's the point.
Do you have anything else in here that I have, Artley? Is it all of my
Because-
statuses or the single status state?
I've got all those. There we go.
Is it a single status state or is it all of them?
I have
Because all these
Review, migration.
caveats,
I have all the same 5. I don't have anything else.
all the caveats you're talking about of the extra steps of needing to add the markup and then save it and then yada yada, that or needing to share a profile to share all the custom statuses, all those caveats go away because those statuses get uploaded automatically with the PDF. It's just on the
profile
uploader.
is on it.
Yeah. With the if those statuses are active in the profile. And so it's the responsibility of the uploader. So if you're managing multiple profiles or multiple sets of statuses at the same time, it's on you to make sure that the ones that are active are the ones that you want going along for the ride.
So what about if you're working with, let's say, the architectural team and they don't have the profile, you would just say, send me your set so I can upload it to the session?
Yes. So that's, if you're working with multiple disciplines, it's typically, I would say get only a couple of people from the same firm. So what was it, ACOM that I showed you, their statuses I really liked. They were managing that project. No one was allowed to upload documents except them, so that they could add bookmarks, add page labels, so that they could make sure the correct statuses were attached. They could make sure that delete or flatten those AutoCAD markups. They could make sure all of those things were done, make sure the correct statuses were there. And because there were so many players involved that you don't have the know-how to be the administrator of this project.
Yeah, and you could restrict everyone by saying this, right?
And
maybe
and you could
had the
create
specific-
groups.
Yeah, if you had the specific users that were there.
So there was a few specific users that had those capabilities and nobody else had those permissions. So internally with my team, because I've set it up so it all happens automatically. Just everyone's allowed full control internally to add and remove documents as they see fit, because they already have those statuses and they don't have to worry about changing it or making sure that their profile's right, because it's already right. But the second you stop being internal only and start getting those external collaborations in session, you're going to want somebody who knows what they're doing to be the administrator for the session.
Yeah. What do you mean, Alex? Turn off all the custom statuses. We are almost at our time. Well, we are at our time. Go to a non-session PDF. Okay, go to a non-session PDF.
Oh, okay. So what he's saying, and I did test it, and if you have those statuses in your profile and those identical statuses are in the session, if you go into your statuses and turn off that group of statuses, uncheck it, when you go back into session, they won't be available to you. But I imagine they would be available to everybody else because they didn't manually check them off.
Okay. So either you have a drop page that has all the custom statuses if you're worried about a team member not having the profile, or what you can do is give everyone the profile that's uploading it, or restrict people to upload into sessions. For a company-wide, not working in sessions, just having the same profile is sufficient. Or if you're sending it to a coordinating party, a status state still needs to be changed for it to save to the PDF metadata, which we tested earlier, which isn't the same as Studio Sessions, which is kind of funny because it pushes it automatically. Wait, one last test, Artley. Did it push it automatically when I uploaded it, or did it do it when I made a status change? We're going to go a little over.
It did it when you uploaded it.
Okay. So let me...
Because it has to become a part of the document. That metadata has to become a part of the document before it's uploaded.
So
the session.
When I hit this, essentially, it did that change. Okay.
Quick tip for people who use sessions a lot. My tip is to right click on the PDF tab and add to studio session that way, because then that document, if you do it the way you did, where you use a little icon next to documents, the document you have open is still saved locally, and you have to manually go into your list. And a lot of people forget to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like the document I'm looking at, I want it to be in session. They use the button that you're going to press to put it in session, but then they forget to open that in session.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you look
so
at
if
the icon
you-
here, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So yes, but they'll forget because they think they added it. But if you add to current studios, if you right click on that and add to current studio session, it automatically replaces that locally saved document with the session document. Like you still have the locally saved one. It's still there, but the one you're looking at is the one in session.
Well, it won't let me do it. Oh, do you have to be in the session?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm in this session and then right click.
Are you?
So this has been pretty confusing because there's certainly these little rules that we still need to figure out, and maybe we'll have to do a little bit more homework.
That's
and
weird.
we'll start next week's episode.
Oh yeah, we'll start
with a
next
recap.
week. Yeah, with some new, so we don't get over everyone's time. Thanks everyone for joining us today. This is what we'll test next time, is this part here, just to make sure that it's when the upload versus me making a markup. But thank you all for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you all next week. Anything else to add, Jason?
Thank you to Liz.
Yeah.
Thanks
you.
to Liz for joining in and showing us all of the knowledge. We were definitely added to the knowledge pool for us, is that as long as the PDF is uploaded from the user of the profile that has them, then you are in good shape versus having a drop page for everyone to have that same standard.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening in today, and we look forward to speaking with you all next week.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks,
Take care,
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks. Bye.